I sat staring at the lottery numbers on my screen, jaw practically on the floor. $5 million. I had just won $5 million. At 25 years old, still living with my parents to pay off student loans, this was life-changing money. I kept checking the numbers over and over. My hands were shaking. This should have been the happiest moment of my life. Instead, it became a nightmare when my parents demanded I hand over my winnings to fund my brother Travis's future. Before I tell you how my own family tried to steal my fortune, drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever felt second best in your own family. I should probably introduce myself. My name is Leland, a 25-year-old graphic designer who was still living at home to save money. After graduating from art school with $70,000 in student debt, moving back with my parents seemed like the responsible choice, even if it meant sacrificing some independence. My job at a small design agency paid decent money, but between student loan payments and trying to build some savings, I was looking at years before I could afford my own place in our expensive city. My parents, Richard and Diane Wilson, had a comfortable middle-class life. Dad worked as an investment banker, while Mom managed a retail store. We lived in a nice suburban neighborhood with good schools and manicured lawns. From the outside, we looked like the perfect American family. But inside our home, there was a clear hierarchy, and I was definitely not at the top. That position belonged exclusively to my younger brother, Travis. At 22, he was everything. I was not in my parents' eyes. Handsome, athletic, charismatic, and studying pre-med at a prestigious university. Travis was the golden child, the one who would achieve great things, the one who deserved every advantage. Meanwhile, I was just there, the quiet, artistic son who never quite measured up. The favoritism had been obvious for as long as I could remember. When Travis graduated high school, my parents bought him a brand new car. When I graduated 3 years earlier, I got a watch and a lecture about fiscal responsibility. Family vacations were always scheduled around Travis's sports competitions or academic events. If I had an art show or portfolio presentation, my parents would usually have some excuse for why they could not attend. The disparity in how they treated us extended to our education, too. My parents paid for Travis's entire college education at an expensive private university, including housing and spending money. When I wanted to attend art school, I was told I would need to take out loans because art isn't a real career path, and we need to save for Travis's medical school. Despite all this, Travis and I actually had a good relationship. He was oblivious to our parents' favoritism, or at least he never acknowledged it. He was genuinely a good guy who loved his brother. He would often try to include me in things, invite me to his games or campus events. Sometimes, he would even stand up for me when our parents were being particularly obvious with their preferential treatment. But he never really understood the deeper issues at play. I tried addressing the favoritism once, about 2 years ago. It was after a Thanksgiving dinner where my mom spent 20 minutes praising Travis's grades to our extended family without once mentioning that I had just been promoted at work. When I brought it up later, my dad dismissed me as jealous, while my mom said I was being immature and needed to grow up and stop competing with your brother. After that, I gave up trying to make them see what they were doing. My strategy became working hard, staying under their radar, and saving up to move out. Buying lottery tickets was my small weekly indulgence, $5 every Saturday for a ticket and a brief fantasy about what I would do if I won. I imagined paying off my student loans, buying a small house, maybe starting my own design studio someday. I never seriously expected to win, of course. It was just a harmless dream. Until that Saturday in April, when the impossible happened. It was a typical spring day. I had gone out for my usual weekend routine, stopping at the corner market to buy my lottery ticket along with some snacks. I came home, worked on some freelance projects in my room, then watched the lottery drawing on my laptop that evening. I almost missed it when they announced the numbers. I was half paying attention while sketching a design idea. Then I looked up and froze. The numbers on my ticket matched what I was seeing on screen. All of them. I checked again and again. I even looked up the winning numbers online to make sure the stream I was watching was correct. It was. I had won the jackpot, $5 million. My first instinct was to scream, but I held it in. Instead, I called my best friend Jake. "Dude, you need to come over and verify I am not hallucinating." I whispered into the phone, not wanting my family to hear. "What happened?" Jake asked, sounding concerned. "I think I just won the lottery, like the actual lottery, the jackpot." There was silence on the other end. "Then I will be there in 15 minutes. Jake confirmed what I already knew. I had won. We spent hours in my room, discussing what this meant, how to claim the prize, what to do with the money. Jake was as excited as I was already planning the epic road trip we had always talked about taking. The next morning at breakfast, I decided to tell my family. In retrospect, I should have kept quiet until I had the money safely in my account. But I was excited, and foolishly, I thought they would be happy for me. At first they were, or at least they acted like it. My mom hugged me, my dad clapped me on the back, and Travis gave me a high five. They suggested we have a special family dinner that evening to celebrate. I agreed, feeling for once like I was the center of positive attention in my family. The celebration dinner started out fine. Mom made my favorite lasagna, Dad opened an expensive bottle of wine, and the conversation flowed pleasantly. But there was something in the air, a strange tension I could not quite identify. I noticed my parents exchanging glances throughout the meal, like they were having a silent conversation I was not privy to. Finally, as we were finishing dessert, my father cleared his throat. "Leland, your mother and I have been thinking about your windfall," he began, his voice taking on the authoritative tone he used when discussing serious matters. "We think this is a wonderful opportunity for the family," my mother added, smiling in a way that did not quite reach her eyes. "What do you mean?" I asked, already feeling uneasy. My father leaned forward. "Well, son, we think the responsible thing would be to invest most of this money in Travis's future. Medical school is incredibly expensive, and with this money, he could attend anywhere he wants without worrying about debt. Plus, there would be enough for a down payment on a practice when he graduates." I stared at him thinking, this must be a joke, but his expression remained serious. "We are not saying you should give him everything," my mother quickly added. "You could keep, say, $500,000 for yourself. That would still be plenty for you to pay off your loans and have a nice start in life." I looked at Travis, who was staring down at his plate, clearly uncomfortable. He had not known about this proposal. "You are joking, right?" I asked, looking back and forth between my parents. "You want me to give Travis 90% of my lottery winnings? Think about it sensibly," my father continued as if explaining something to a child. "Travis will be a doctor. He will save lives. His education is an investment with a much higher return than anything you might do with the money." Something inside me snapped. Years of feeling second best, of swallowing my hurt and disappointment, came rushing to the surface. "No," I said, my voice quiet but firm. "Absolutely not." My parents looked shocked, as if they had never considered I might refuse. "Leland, be reasonable," my mother said. "Travis has always had such potential. This money could make such a difference in his life." "And what about my life?" I asked. "What about my potential, my dreams, my future? You have always been—" My father paused, searching for the right word. "Practical. You have a stable job. You do not need this kind of money the way Travis does." The argument escalated quickly. My father's face turned red as he listed all the sacrifices they had made for me over the years, as if paying for basic child-rearing expenses was some extraordinary act of generosity. My mother alternated between guilt-tripping and cajoling, suggesting that refusing to help my brother was selfish and ungrateful. Through it all, Travis remained silent, looking increasingly miserable. Finally, my father delivered his ultimatum. "If you cannot see that contributing to your brother's future is the right thing to do, then perhaps you should not be living under our roof anymore." Richard. My mother gasped, though whether she was shocked by the suggestion or just the bluntness of it, I could not tell. I mean it, my father continued. Family supports family. If Leland has decided he is not part of this family anymore, then he should go his own way. I looked at my parents, these people who had raised me, but never really seen me, and something hardened inside me. I stood up from the table. My winnings are not for your favorite, I said quietly, and they never will be. I walked out of the dining room and up to my bedroom, where I immediately started packing a bag. I heard raised voices downstairs, then footsteps on the stairs. There was a knock at my door. It was Travis. Lee, I am so sorry, he said, looking genuinely distressed. I did not know they were going to ask you for the money. I do not want it, I swear. I know I told him. This is not about you. It is about them. Travis helped me pack some essentials that night. I called Jake, who immediately offered his couch until I could figure things out. As I loaded my stuff into my car, I felt a strange mix of devastation and liberation. My family had finally shown me exactly what I meant to them, and while that knowledge was painful, it was also clarifying. I was free now to build a life without constantly seeking approval I would never receive. The weeks following my lottery win were a crash course in financial management. I met with several financial advisors before finding one I trusted, a no-nonsense woman named Marlene, who specialized in helping lottery winners avoid the common pitfalls of sudden wealth. With her guidance, I secured my winnings, taking the lump sum option after taxes left me with about $2.8 million. Marlene helped me understand investment options, wealth preservation strategies, and how to plan for the long term. Most lottery winners go broke within 5 years, she warned me. We are going to make sure you are not one of them. Meanwhile, my phone was blowing up with messages. Extended family members I had not heard from in years suddenly wanted to reconnect. Former classmates had business opportunities that just needed some startup capital. And my parents alternated between angry texts about my selfishness and conciliatory ones suggesting we talk about a compromise. I ignored most of these messages, focusing instead on building my new life. With Jake's help, I found a nice one-bedroom apartment in a part of town I had always admired but could never afford before. The day I signed the lease was surreal. For the first time in my adult life, I had my own place. Using some of my winnings to pay off my student loans felt like removing a boulder that had been sitting on my chest for years. I could breathe easier, sleep better. The constant anxiety about money that had been my companion since college gradually faded away. Following Marlene's advice, I invested a significant portion of my winnings in a diversified portfolio. I also set aside money to potentially start my own design studio someday, a dream I had never thought would be possible this early in my career. I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Simmons, to help process everything that had happened. She helped me understand that what I had experienced growing up was emotional neglect and that my parents' treatment had affected me more deeply than I had realized. Your feelings of being overlooked and undervalued are valid, she told me during one session, and your decision to protect yourself and your future was healthy, not selfish. In my free time, I reconnected with my passion for art and design. Without the constant pressure of needing to monetize every creative pursuit, I found myself experimenting with new styles and techniques. I started painting again, something I had loved in school but had abandoned when the real world demanded all my time and energy. About a month after moving into my new place, I was surprised by an unexpected visitor. Travis showed up at my door one Saturday afternoon, looking tired and troubled. "Can we talk?" he asked. I invited him in and ordered pizza. For a while, we just caught up on general life stuff, carefully avoiding any mention of our parents. But eventually, Travis got to the reason for his visit. "I am dropping out of med school," he said abruptly. I nearly choked on my pizza. "What? Why?" "You have always wanted to be a doctor." Travis shook his head. No, Mom and Dad always wanted me to be a doctor. I just went along with it because it made them happy, and honestly, because I did not know what else to do. Over the next few hours, Travis opened up to me in a way he never had before. He confessed that he had been miserable in medical school, that the sight of blood made him queasy, and that the pressure to succeed had led to debilitating anxiety. What I really want to do is teach, he said. Elementary school. I worked as a camp counselor last summer and realized I love working with kids. Seeing them learn and grow, it just feels right in a way medicine never did. I listened as my brother spoke with genuine passion for the first time I could remember. It was like seeing a different person emerge from behind the perfect sun facade he had maintained all these years. Have you told Mom and Dad? I asked. Travis's face fell. I tried. It did not go well. Dad said I was throwing my life away. Mom cried and asked what she had done wrong to deserve such ungrateful children. We talked late into the night, commiserating over our shared experience of parents who seemed to love the idea of their children more than the reality. By the time Travis left, something had shifted between us. The artificial distance created by our parents' favoritism was replaced by a genuine connection based on mutual understanding and support. While I was rebuilding my life and relationship with my brother, my parents were escalating their efforts to get access to my lottery winnings. They showed up unannounced at my workplace one day, creating such a scene that my boss had to ask them to leave. They spread rumors among our extended family that I had abandoned them after coming into money, painting themselves as victims of my newfound wealth. They attempted various tactics, from guilt-tripping through mutual friends to suddenly being interested in my design work and suggesting we go into business together. The most desperate came when my father claimed they needed money for medical bills, saying my mother had been diagnosed with a serious condition. I was concerned until Travis confirmed it was a complete fabrication. Their behavior reached a breaking point about 3 months after my lottery win. I received a call from the security desk of my apartment building saying my parents were demanding to be let up. I reluctantly agreed, preparing myself for another confrontation. They arrived at my door, looking like they had rehearsed their approach. My mother had clearly been crying while my father wore his serious business expression. "We need to talk about a family matter," he said, as soon as I let them in. What followed was a carefully orchestrated performance. My mother tearfully explained that my father's business partner had made some bad investments, putting them in financial jeopardy. They might lose their house, their retirement savings were at risk, and they needed my help. "We are not asking for much," my father said. "Just a loan to tide us over. 700,000 should cover it." I looked at them, these people who had always treated me as an afterthought, now suddenly acting as if family bonds should mean something. "No," I said simply. "What do you mean, no?" my father demanded, his carefully controlled demeanor slipping. "I mean no. I am not giving you $700,000 or $7. This is not about the money. This is about how you have treated me my entire life. How we have treated you." My father's voice rose. "We put a roof over your head. We fed you. We clothed you. Doing the bare minimum required by law is not parenting," I replied, surprised at how calm I felt. "You never saw me. You never valued me. You compared me to Travis at every turn and found me lacking." "That is ridiculous," my mother interjected. "We love both our sons equally." I laughed without humor. "Really? You paid for Travis's education, but made me take out loans. You attended every one of his games, but none of my art shows. You bought him a car for graduation and gave me a watch. Should I continue?" As if on cue, there was a knock at the door. When I opened it, Travis was standing there. He had planned to come over to discuss apartment hunting in my neighborhood, having forgotten about our parents' visit. "Travis," my mother exclaimed, "thank goodness you are here. Maybe you can talk some sense into your brother." Travis looked from our parents to me, confusion evident on his face. "What is going on?" My father quickly explained their predicament and how I was refusing to help the family. Travis listened, then asked, "Is it true? Are you in financial trouble?" "Yes," my father insisted, "and your brother has the means to help, but will not." Travis was quiet for a moment, then said something that shocked all of us. "I do not believe you." My parents stared at him. "What I said, I do not believe you," Travis repeated. "You lied about Mom being sick to try to get money from Leland." "How do I know you are not lying now?" The confrontation that followed was ugly but necessary. Years of pent-up frustration and hurt came pouring out as I finally stood up for myself. Travis, seeing our parents' manipulation tactics directed at me, so blatantly began to understand the dynamics that had shaped our family for years. In the end, my parents left in a fury, declaring that neither of us were the sons they had raised. The bridge seemed well and truly burned, but somehow, standing in my apartment with my brother by my side, I felt lighter than I had in years. The months following that final confrontation brought significant changes for both Travis and me. My parents cut contact with both of us, which was painful, but also freeing. Travis temporarily moved in with me while he sorted out his new direction in life. Having my brother as a roommate proved surprisingly enjoyable. Without our parents' influence creating a competitive dynamic between us, we discovered we actually had a lot in common and genuinely enjoyed each other's company. I helped Travis research education programs, and he helped me brainstorm ideas for the design studio I was considering launching. We supported each other through the complex emotions that came with essentially losing our parents and redefining our sense of family. A year after winning the lottery, my life had transformed in ways I never could have predicted. I had started my own design studio using a portion of my lottery winnings as startup capital. It was a small operation with just 2 other designers and a project manager, but we were already gaining a reputation for creative, thoughtful work. I found that the freedom to choose my clients and projects led to more fulfilling work and better creative output. Travis had enrolled in an education program and was thriving. He would come home full of stories about his classroom observations and teaching practicums, his eyes alight with a passion I had never seen when he talked about medicine. He had found a small apartment of his own, not far from mine, and we made a point of having dinner together at least once a week. As for our parents, karma had a way of balancing the scales. We learned through family connections that my father's business had indeed suffered not because of his partner's bad investments, but because of risky ventures my father had undertaken without proper due diligence. They had to downsize their home and lifestyle considerably. More significantly, their reputation in the community they had worked so hard to impress was damaged when the story of how they had treated their sons became known. About 15 months after our falling out, my mother reached out. Her message was different from the previous attempts containing what seemed like genuine remorse. She asked if we could meet for coffee just to talk. After discussing it with Travis and my therapist, I agreed. She showed up alone, looking older and more subdued than I remembered. She apologized, not just for the lottery incident, but for years of favoritism and emotional neglect. She admitted that she and my father had been wrong in how they treated me and in trying to control Travis's life path. "We lost sight of what really matters," she said, tears in her eyes. "We were so focused on appearances and achievements that we forgot to just love our sons for who they are." It was the most honest conversation I had ever had with my mother. While it did not instantly heal the damage done, it opened a door to a possible new relationship, one based on reality rather than expectations. My relationship with my father took longer to address. He was more stubborn, more resistant to acknowledging his part in what had happened. Eventually, though, the combination of financial setbacks and losing contact with both his sons seemed to crack something in his carefully constructed worldview. 6 months after my meeting with my mother, he reached out as well. Our reconciliation was slow, cautious, and on my terms. I made it clear that I would not provide financial support beyond occasional family dinners or birthday gifts. Our relationship would need to be based on mutual respect, not what I could give them materially. Throughout this journey of family reconstruction, I continued my own healing process. Dr. Simmons helped me work through the lingering effects of childhood emotional neglect. I learned to value myself beyond external validation, to recognize my worth was not dependent on comparison to others or on material success. I built new healthy relationships with friends who appreciated me for who I was. I even started dating someone, a kind and creative woman named Alicia, who saw me clearly and valued what she saw. One of the most meaningful things I did with my lottery winnings was establish a scholarship for art students with financial need. Every year, it would help someone like me pursue creative education without the crushing burden of debt. It felt right to use my unexpected fortune to create opportunity for others. Travis found his calling teaching third grade at a public school. His natural charisma and genuine care for his students made him a beloved teacher. He often joked that he was much happier making $30,000 a year as a teacher than he ever would have been making $300,000 as a doctor. Looking back on everything that happened since that Saturday in April, when I checked those lottery numbers, I realized the money itself was far from the most valuable thing I gained. The lottery win acted as a catalyst revealing true characters and forcing long overdue changes. It showed me who really cared about me versus who only cared what I could do for them. It gave me the freedom to discover my own worth and build a life aligned with my values rather than someone else's expectations. The greatest irony is that by trying to take my lottery winnings, my parents lost something far more valuable, a genuine relationship with their sons. And Travis and I, by standing firm in our own truths, gained something money could never buy: authentic self-respect and a genuine brotherly bond. True wealth, I have learned, is not measured in dollars, but in self-knowledge, meaningful work, and genuine connections. Sometimes the most valuable thing you can win is not a jackpot, but the clarity to see who you really are and the courage to live accordingly. Have you ever had a moment where something unexpected revealed people's true colors? Share your experience in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to hear more stories, and share with someone who might need to hear that standing up for yourself is not selfish, it is necessary. Thank you for listening, and remember, your worth is not determined by others' recognition, but by your own self-belief.